Imagine, you're cleaning out a storage locker,
Right.
right? And you come across this like dusty, leather-bound book
Uh-huh.
tucked away, forgotten about.
Yeah.
And inside is a chilling confession.
Oh.
I mean, that sounds like a movie, right?
Yeah. Total Hollywood thriller.
Exactly. But this is real.
Right.
This is the true story of Bluebeard Watson,
Oh, wow.
a man who confessed to murdering 10 of his wives.
10 of his wives.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, what I think is so fascinating about this case, besides obviously the horrifying nature of it, is that it's been brought to life in such an immersive way through an Audible original
Right.
called Bluebeard.
Yes.
And so we're going to do a deep dive,
Yeah.
not only into the historical details, but also into how this audio drama uses some really cool technology to take you back in time.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is that the story is told from the perspective of Catherine,
Okay.
Bluebeard Watson's wife.
His wife. Okay.
And she's not just a passive victim in this story. She really is the one who unravels the truth.
Yeah. She's an active force in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. From the very beginning, she suspects that something's not quite right.
Right.
She senses her husband's hiding something.
Yes.
And she is determined to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
She even hires a private investigator named J.B. Armstrong
Interesting.
to help her. And this in itself is remarkable for the time period we're talking about,
Right.
the early 20th century, when, women were often expected to just be subservient
Absolutely.
and unquestioned.
Yeah, it's like a classic detective novel.
Yeah.
You've got the suspicious wife,
Yeah.
the, enigmatic husband,
Right.
the kind of hard-boiled private eye.
Totally.
But what starts as a seemingly simple case of infidelity
Yeah.
becomes something far more sinister.
It does. It really spirals out of control. As Armstrong digs deeper, he uncovers, this web of lies,
Right.
deceit, that goes way beyond just an affair.
Yeah.
And Catherine, to her horror, makes a very chilling discovery herself. While looking through Lumley Hearts ads from that era,
Okay.
she notices something.
Yeah.
A pattern. A disturbing pattern.
Okay.
Several ads, though, they're under different names.
Right.
They have these striking similarities, and they all point back to her husband.
Ugh, that feeling, right?
I know. Can you imagine?
Like that sinking feeling in your stomach.
Yeah, like, oh no.
You're uncovering this evidence that confirms your worst fear.
Absolutely. And the audio drama does such a good job
Yeah.
of conveying just how heavy that discovery is.
Right.
But what I think makes Catherine's story even more compelling
Yeah.
is that she refused to be silenced or gaslighted.
Right.
Even people close to her,
Yeah.
they tried to dismiss her findings as just coincidence.
Right.
Oh, you're just imagining things.
Yeah.
Or even question her sanity.
It's sad, right? It's like, this is a reminder that even with clear evidence,
Yes.
women's voices and their instincts
Right.
were often dismissed or minimized
Yeah.
even a century ago.
Exactly. And this is where I think the audiobook is so powerful.
Yes.
It doesn't shy away from portraying the societal norms and the biases of that time. And it really forces you to confront these harsh realities that women like Catherine faced
Right.
when trying to seek justice.
Yeah. It also really highlights
Mhm.
her strength and determination.
Oh, absolutely.
Despite all that doubt and skepticism,
Yeah.
she just refused to back down.
She knew.
She knew something was wrong.
She knew.
And she was going to get to the bottom of it no matter what.
100%. She becomes like a vital part of the investigation.
Wow.
Working alongside Armstrong,
Yeah.
providing him with all this crucial information and documents
Yes.
that ultimately helped expose her husband.
So I'm curious about the investigative techniques back then.
Yeah.
I mean, this was long before DNA testing
Yeah.
and all the sophisticated tools we have now.
Right.
How did they manage to piece together this case against Bluebeard?
Well, that's a great question. And that's something that the audiobook actually does a really good job of exploring.
Okay.
Without those modern tools we just take for granted today,
Right.
investigators had to really rely on traditional detective work. Meticulous observation,
Okay.
interviewing witnesses,
Right.
following paper trails,
I...
and most importantly, connecting those seemingly unrelated dots.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And it's in those details that Watson's true nature is revealed.
Right?
His confession, the one found in that leather-bound book.
Yeah.
It's chilling.
Okay.
It really paints this portrait of a calculated predator.
So he wasn't just like a...
He wasn't some frenzied, impulsive killer.
Right.
This guy was methodical,
Wow.
deliberate.
It's almost scarier
You know.
To think that he could maintain this facade
Yeah.
for so long,
Right?
deceiving not one, but 10 women.
It's unbelievable. What kind of person can do that, right?
I know. It's like, how do you even compartmentalize your life like that?
Right. Well, if you look into the psychology of individuals like Watson,
Okay.
you find these patterns of manipulation
Right.
and this lack of empathy.
Yeah.
It's likely he saw his victims as just means to an end.
Yeah.
What could he get from them?
Right.
Financial security, maybe
No.
just the thrill of control.
So it wasn't even necessarily about like,
Not really about passion,
yeah,
not even hatred. It was
Yeah.
about power
power.
and exploitation.
Wow. And what's really disturbing is that he specifically targeted
Yeah. Older women,
older women.
many of them widows.
Wow.
These were individuals who were often overlooked by society,
right.
maybe feeling vulnerable,
Yeah.
lonely,
Okay.
making them easier targets.
It makes Catherine's courage even more remarkable.
Oh, absolutely.
Not only did she have to face, the horror of discovering her husband's true nature,
Right.
but she also had to contend with.
Yeah, all of the societal norms of the time.
Right.
Women were expected to be seen, not heard,
Right.
to even question your husband,
Right.
especially in such a public way.
Yeah.
It was scandalous.
But she defied those expectations.
She did. She absolutely did.
She demanded to be heard.
Yeah,
And she pushed for justice.
for herself,
Yes.
but for all of Watson's victims.
Which brings us to another fascinating part of this story.
Okay.
This partnership between Catherine and the private investigator J.B. Armstrong.
Right.
It was so unconventional for that time.
It was, think about it. Early 20th century,
Right.
women very rarely held positions of authority,
Okay.
especially in a field like criminal investigation.
But she made it very clear to Armstrong
Right.
that she was not just a client,
Right.
she was a partner.
A partner in this pursuit of the truth.
Yes, and thank goodness she did.
I know, right?
I mean, she's the one who really cracked the case wide open
Uh-huh.
with that discovery in the Lonely Hearts ads.
It was her meticulousness.
Right.
Her refusal to ignore even the tiniest details that
Exactly.
helped bring Watson down.
And that's something that the audiobook really gets right.
It does.
It doesn't just present her as,
Yeah.
a hopeless victim
Right.
or even a simple heroine.
Yeah.
She is a complex, intelligent woman
Yes.
who, despite all the limitations
Mm-hmm.
placed upon her by society,
Yeah.
takes control of her own narrative
She does.
and fights for justice.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the audiobook, one of the elements that really stood out to me
Yeah.
was that courtroom scene
Mm-hmm.
where Catherine confronts her husband.
Oh, yeah.
The tension is palpable.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's where the immersive audio really shines.
Yeah.
The way they use sound design, vocal performance
That's
to
great.
create that tension.
Yeah.
Masterful.
It's like you're transported back in time.
Yes. You're not just listening to the story.
Right.
You are experiencing it.
I can almost hear like the murmurs of the
Or
courtroom crowd.
The shuffling of papers.
Yeah.
The hushed whispers.
As she takes the stand
Right.
to face this man who betrayed her in the most unimaginable way.
It's powerful. And then she does something incredible.
What's that?
She reads aloud the names of all of Watson's victims.
Oh, wow.
She makes sure that their stories, their lives, aren't forgotten.
Right?
They're not lost in the shadow of his infamy.
Wow.
It's a moment of reckoning,
Yeah.
a testament to Catherine's strength
Right.
and her commitment to honoring those who were silenced.
It gives me chills just thinking about it.
Yeah.
It speaks to the power of one person's voice
Uh-huh.
to challenge injustice and demand accountability.
It does. And it raises a really crucial question for us today.
What's that?
Have we as a society truly progressed in how we treat women who come forward?
Right.
Especially against powerful men.
With these accusations.
Yeah. Do we believe them?
Right.
Do we support them? Or do we still try to silence them?
In subtle ways or not so subtle ways?
Yeah, question their motives.
Doubt their experiences.
Exactly. It's a sobering thought.
It is.
Yeah.
Especially considering how hard Catherine had to fight
Yeah.
to be heard, to be believed.
Even with the evidence, it
Mhm.
makes you wonder how many other Catherines are out there.
Right.
Their stories unheard.
Yeah.
Their truths buried?
Yeah, it really makes you think, huh?
It does. It's a question that stays with you
Right.
long after you finish Bluebeard.
Yeah.
I think that's the power of a good story.
Right.
Especially one based on true events.
Yes.
It can be like this mirror
Okay.
reflecting our progress.
As a society.
Yeah, but also showing us the challenges we still face.
So for our listeners who might not know this case,
Yeah.
what would you say are like the key takeaways?
Okay, great question. I think first and foremost,
Yeah.
trust your gut.
Okay.
Catherine had this feeling something was wrong.
Right.
People tried to dismiss her,
Yeah.
but she persisted.
She did.
She listened to that inner voice,
Right.
and it led her to the truth.
It's a good reminder.
Yeah.
We all have that sense. When something's off.
Yes.
And we shouldn't ignore it.
Exactly. Even if it seems crazy.
Unfounded.
Yeah, absolutely. And second,
Yeah.
never give up.
Okay.
Persistence is key.
Right.
Catherine could have walked away
Easily.
so easily, accepted the explanations,
Yeah.
tried to move on,
Right.
but she didn't.
She didn't.
She kept digging,
Yeah.
pushing for answers.
And she brought a dangerous criminal to justice.
She did.
Wow.
One person's determination can make a difference.
It really can.
And lastly,
Yeah.
I think this case warns us about complacency,
Okay.
about just accepting things.
At face value.
Exactly.
Oh.
Watson got away with it for so long because people ignored the signs.
Right.
Maybe they were blinded by his charm,
Okay.
his status,
Right.
or just the norms back then.
Yeah.
Nobody questioned a man's authority.
It makes you wonder how many other Bluebeards are out there.
Right. Hiding in plain sight,
Yeah.
concealing their true selves.
So Bluebeard is not just a story.
No, it's a call to action.
Okay.
We all have to hold people accountable, protect
yeah.
the vulnerable.
So how can we support those who speak out?
That's the question.
Yeah.
How can we make sure women's voices are heard?
And believed.
Without question, how can we prevent this from happening?
Such an important discussion.
It is.
And for those who want to learn more,
Yeah.
check out Bluebeard on Audible.
It's amazing.
Yeah, the audio really brings it to life.
It does. Like, you're right there.
Yeah, as you're listening,
Uh-huh.
think about these questions.
Yes.
How can we be better?
How can we create a world where these horrors don't happen?
Exactly.
It's a challenge.
But it's worth it.
It is. And sometimes facing the darkness of the past
Yeah.
helps us find a brighter future.
Well, thank you for taking this deep dive with us.
Of course.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning,
Always.
and never stop seeking the truth.